Hi, I'm Raylyn Worcester, and this is Spreading the Word. That's Word with a capital W, as in the written word, the Bible, and the Word made flesh, Jesus Christ. I'm reading to you from my mini novel, Fifth Time's the Charm. We had just concluded Fourth Time with the marriage to Giovanni ending. So now we're going to read Hiatus, the time between fourth time and fifth time. Hiatus. After ransacking the apartment and dumping her husband's belongings in the living room floor, she picked up the phone and called work, saying she would be late. Then she walked the couple miles to the bank. She closed out their joint account and opened another in her name only. Then she walked to work. When she got there, she removed his car from her insurance policy. Then she got a cup of coffee from the break room and settled down to do her job. When she got home, her car was in its usual spot, the pile from the living room floor was gone, and the keys were on the table. When they moved back to Tucson, she had gotten her little dog, Teeny, back from her daughter, who had kept him for the last several years. Giovanni had watched him while she worked. With him gone, she was thankful for the company that Teeny provided. Giovanni had only been gone a few days when something terrifying happened. It was the middle of the night, and Teeny was whining to be let out. While the complex allowed pets, there were no doggy doors. She lived on the second floor and had to take him down the elevator or stairs and out the door to the courtyard to do his business. She grabbed a leash and a flashlight, and they began their walk down the hall. She had her hand on the doorknob to the courtyard and was just about to turn the knob when she heard a gunshot just outside the door. She picked Teeny up and ran back to the apartment and locked them both inside. If she had a mess to clean up, so be it. She was terrified. Within minutes, she heard a helicopter outside her window. She opened the blinds a fraction. There was a police helicopter right outside her apartment with a searchlight scanning the complex, obviously looking for the shooter. She didn't get back to sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, she went to the office and told them she wanted to move. "You're in a lease," they reminded her. The Spirit of God had told her that there was an Arizona state statute that said a lease could be broken with no repercussion if a person felt their life was endangered by staying. She shared this information with her landlord. She cited the stolen license plate, graffitied car, last night's shooting, and the police helicopter outside her apartment as proof she felt her life was in danger. She was let out of her lease. She would be moving again. She continued to work for her State Farm agent after moving to her new apartment 12 miles away in a nicer part of town. She remained there for 5 years until the day after speaking to her mom on the phone, she decided to move back to Benson to be nearer Jody. The agent asked her to take a laptop and work remotely for him, and she was once more on the move. She found a nice apartment in Benson that she could afford and worked from home in it for the next year. Changes had been occurring in the insurance agency that she didn't like. Customers without an insurance license could go online and bind their own coverage. Then she had to fix all the mistakes they made because they hadn't had the training to understand what they were doing. Not only did she not get commission for these policies, so her pay was taking a hit, but she was also required to pay $80 every year to keep her license up to date. It seemed like a good time to get out of the insurance industry. She thanked her agent abundantly for using her all these years, and he said he understood. He was thinking about retiring himself. She later discovered that he did just that. When her lease was up, she got an opportunity to purchase another mobile home. She had rented out the one she'd bought from her brother after Robert's death to a single man who was a good tenant, had paid his rent faithfully, and maintained the home and lot until the day they filed bankruptcy. Because any assets would be seized to pay off their debts, she signed ownership of the trailer over to him prior to filing. Now one had come available in a nice mobile home park for just $6,000. She went to her aunt and uncle and asked for a loan. They wrote her a check, and she paid cash for the trailer, paying them back $300 a month. It was now 2019. Her divorce from Giovanni was final in 2012. Things had definitely changed over the last 7 years. She was living in Benson in her very own home, which she fixed up herself. She did things she always had a father, brother, or husband to do. Things she never thought she could. Things her maker helped her do. She painted the unit inside and out, laid flooring, and learned to grill for the first time in her life. She worked at a convenience store as an assistant manager, and she had been going to church again with her mom. She stood on Isaiah 54:5, which said, "For your maker is your husband." She hadn't dated in all this time and had no desire to. Whatever she needed, she relied on her maker to provide, and he faithfully did. She was happy and content with her life. Little did she know that God had plans in the works, and soon everything would change again. The convenience store was her little world. She got to know her customers and soon had favorites among the regulars. One of them was a man who came in every other day or so to buy cigarettes. He was about her age, and he would stand on the other side of the counter and chat with her when she had no customers. He managed the RV park a couple of blocks away and had a very sick wife. She mentioned she would pray for her and discovered that he too was a Christian, attending the same church where she and Robert had married. Over the months, as he would come in to buy his cigarettes, they would chat and build a casual friendship, and she would always be faithful to ask how his wife was doing and assure him of her continued prayers on her behalf. Then he disappeared for a couple months. He'd gone from coming in several times a week and filling up the space of dead time when business was slow with interesting conversation to not coming in at all. She had looked forward to his visits. Had he moved away? Wouldn't he have said goodbye? Or did their interaction not mean as much to him as it did to her? And as suddenly as he had disappeared, he reappeared in the store a few months later. His wife had died, he shared. He just needed some time alone. She understood. She was so sorry. Now, instead of praying for her, she would pray for him. Byron began coming into the store regularly again, and their visits became more animated. If she worked the very early morning shift, he would often bring her an omelet for breakfast. Or if she was closing that day, he would bring her supper. He was quite a good cook. It gave him something to do, he said. She was grateful. She would either brown bag her meals or grab a pastry off the convenience store shelf. His cooking beat either option, hands down. One day, after making his purchase and visiting a while, as he prepared to leave, Byron said, "See you tomorrow." "No, you won't," she replied. "My 60th birthday is this week, and I'm taking my mom, daughter, and some friends to a cabin in Pine Top for a week to celebrate." "If I'd known it was your birthday, I would have asked you out to dinner," he said in a dejected voice. "There's nothing to stop you from taking me when I get back," she answered flippantly. She went on her trip and didn't give the offhand comment another thought. The same couldn't be said of Byron. She'd had a glorious time away and had only been back to work for 1 hour when he came through the door and said, "You're back. Are you going to dinner with me?" She hadn't dated in 8 years, and she'd been single, and she'd had no desire to date now. But she'd made that comment without thinking, "Nothing to stop you from taking me when I get back." "I don't date," she told him, "but I suppose a birthday dinner as friends would be okay." "I'll take it," he said with a smile. He had discovered that her favorite food was tacos, and they arranged to meet at a Mexican restaurant in town on her next evening off. The food was good, but the conversation was even better. She'd felt a little nervous as they entered the restaurant, but he instantly put her at ease. They had so much in common, little things, obscure things, like the fact that they both memorized commercials and jingles. "Do you remember this one? How about this one?" She discovered he'd been in the Navy and had traveled all over the world. She listened fascinated as he described some of the places he'd been. All too soon the night was over and they parted ways. They would see each other again the next day at the store. Thanksgiving was upon them, and she, knowing he had no family in town, invited him to dinner at her mom's house. Over the years, she and her mother had gotten in the habit of inviting anyone without somewhere to go over for Thanksgiving dinner, so it was a natural inclination to ask, and the family would expect nothing less. She could see the family was curious about their relationship. Was this just another loner needing somewhere to spend Thanksgiving, or did she like this guy? She wasn't sure either, but she tried to keep a little bit of distance so she could figure it out before the decision was made for her. But that was Byron's first introduction to her family, and theirs to him. They all seemed to like him, which was good, she guessed. As manager of the RV park, Byron often hosted meals in the clubhouse for his residents. It was nearing Christmas time, and he was making his famous meatloaf. "You've got to try it," he told her, "and I could use some help setting things up if you are game." "Sure," she replied. Her relationship with Byron was fun and easy. He was a great friend. This is something friends do. His meatloaf was very good, she realized, though watching him make it, she had her doubts. In her mind, cheese and barbecue sauce didn't go together. She met many of his residents, and they had a very pleasant evening. Some of the residents assumed she was Byron's new girlfriend, but she nipped that in the bud, insisting they were just good friends. What was everyone seeing that she wasn't? What was their problem anyway? Her uncle, who lived 6 miles out of town, put up an amazing light display every year for Christmas. He had over 50,000 lights, blow-ups, cutouts, and nativities set up for people to see. You could see his lights from the highway, and people came from town just to see his display, which would become more elaborate each year. She invited Byron and some other friends out to see it. Her mom snapped a picture of the two of them standing amongst the displays, Byron's arm around her waist. Then the group split up and the two of them went to a small development on the other side of town to see a live nativity. They didn't spend that Christmas together. She had her daughter and her family and her mom over to her place for Christmas. Christmas was family time. As much as she liked Byron, he wasn't family. She didn't know how he spent Christmas. Probably with other friends, she thought. 2020 turned into 2021. The new year brought change in the couple's relationship, though she was slower to recognize it than most. They spent a lot of time together, going out as friends. They made plans to go play miniature golf one Saturday, and Jody would be joining them. That morning, she got a text from Byron. "I'm sorry, I can't make it. I've been sick all night. You'll have to go without me." She called her mom and let her know they wouldn't be going. As the day went on, she couldn't get Byron out of her mind. What was wrong? Was it the flu? Was he okay? She decided to put together a care package for him. She went to the store and got a big box and found things to fill it with. NyQuil, cough drops, tissues, Pepto-Bismol, a can of chicken soup, orange juice, and a cute little stuffed dog holding a heart. Something in here is bound to make him feel better, she thought. She took the box over to his house. "What's this?" he asked as she handed him the box. "An eye care package," she responded. "You need to hurry up and get better so we can go on a real date," she told him. He smiled and said, "I'm going to hold you to that." She hadn't realized until that day, when she'd been so worried about him being sick, how deep her feelings for him ran. As much as she'd fought it and hated to admit it, they were more than friends. A short time later, they made it to Tucson to play miniature golf. This time, Jody begged off, and the two of them went alone. They golfed, played arcade games, and took photos together in the photo booth. They had fun, but it was rainy and cold, so they went to the nearby IHOP afterward for something hot to drink. It was the perfect day. Then he was ready to take her on that real date. They went to the Silver Saddle Steakhouse in Tucson. The food was delicious, the atmosphere nice, and the conversation good. When he took her home, he leaned over and gave her a kiss before letting her out of the car. She thought about that kiss all night. What did it mean? Goodnight kisses are expected on dates, aren't they? Yeah, but is that all it was? Or did it mean something more? It scared her to think she was getting involved. Maybe falling in love with someone again. Maybe she could just pretend the kiss never happened. Then she wouldn't have to deal with it. Anyone with eyes could see how Byron felt about her. She saw it, and it scared her to death. He sang love songs to her. While she thought it was sweet and romantic and loved the attention, she couldn't deny his feelings for her. He's not supposed to feel that way, she thought. It's too soon. She was stubbornly determined to keep him in the friend zone. One Monday at the end of January, she was at intercessory prayer with her mom, and she excused herself to go to the bathroom. There in the stall, she heard the Lord speak to her. "You are about to throw away my perfect provision for you." She couldn't deny it any longer. God had brought Byron into her life, and they were meant to be together. She went back into the prayer room and asked her mother, "Do you think it's okay if I have a boyfriend?" "For heaven's sake," she responded, "you're 60 years old. You are certainly old enough to have a boyfriend. It's not like you're getting married or anything." But once she admitted what was happening to herself, the dam broke. Her feelings for Byron grew in leaps and bounds, and they both knew they were headed for the altar. He proposed to her at her mom's house, with her brother and sister-in-law in attendance on Valentine's Day. He hadn't told anyone he was going to do it, but somehow her sister-in-law figured out what was happening and caught it all on video. From that moment on, she was in wedding planning mode. She insisted they set a date at least a year after the death of his previous wife. She passed away late last July. They chose August 6th. It was her mother and father's wedding date. It seemed perfect to her. In just a little over a year from the day they met, they would be married. And that concludes Hiatus between fourth time and fifth time. If you're enjoying the story, please remember to like, subscribe, and share with friends and family. And in that way, you're helping me spread the word. Thank you. God bless.